has more natural water sources than any country in Europe, but does it do enough to conserve it? Essential industries like construction are being asked to look carefully at what they use to try and protect the environment. Well, let's talk to Angelica Krystle, who's the president of Italy's National Association of Builders. Welcome back to the programme. So, as we've heard there, Italy experiencing a severe drought. How much does the construction industry contribute to the crisis?
Well, I think it's part of a broader discussion, because the severe droughts that we are currently experiencing, which was very well explained in the piece just before me, is largely due to soaring temperatures. I'm in Rome right now. It's 38 Celsius. It was 42 last week. These are really unseasonable temperatures, and what it's caused all of our rivers to dry up. And so the construction industry's contribution, or the built environment's contribution at large, comes in two portions, I believe. On the one hand, it's water conservation. It's very interesting that although Italy has got the biggest amount of water resources in Europe, it also wastes on average 40%. So our municipalities waste around 40% of their water. So if we could just conserve that, that would be sufficient. And that goes from construction side to industry to private consumers. But then as well, my sector, the built environment at large, contributes over 40% of CO2 emissions, which are directly responsible for these rising temperatures, which are the source of the problem at the origin. So we really need to gear up towards Fit for 55 and then net zero in the most effective and efficient way possible, so that we can stop rising temperatures, which are going to inevitably hit an increase of 1.5 degrees by 2030 to go any further. Otherwise, the effects will be devastating.
I wonder, though, if drought and high temperatures are already affecting the way that people build and where they build. Do you think climate change is making some sites less suitable for construction?
Well, it's more a question of how we build and what we think of when we build. So most of Italy's existing stock has got a very low energy rating. So I think about a third of all buildings are in the lowest class. And so we are very much investing in building with a very high specification in order to be able to deal with the really high temperatures in the summer, but also the really low temperatures in winter, because Italy used to have a very moderate climate, and now we're going up for ever bigger extremes. And this ties into the whole topic of making our existing stock more efficient and investing public funds into incentivizing private individuals to make their buildings more efficient. And this alone would stop us from wasting so much heat in the winter and so much air conditioning in the summer, and therefore electricity, and therefore energy, and therefore reduce the CO2 emissions that we contribute to.
And you talked about this figure of 40% wastage of water, not just by construction, but across the board. But what would you like to see being done by the construction industry specifically to try and address this?
So the answer is quite simple. There needs to be an alignment of incentives between owners and contractors. Unfortunately, the construction sector is a sector that is very much driven by a race to lower prices, and this has always inhibited innovation and inhibited investment. So there needs to be, for this and for all other types of innovation and efficiency, a stronger alignment between the owner, whether it's a public owner, so for public sector works, or a private owner for private works, to drive efficiency. So, for example, a lot can be done to recover wastewater and to avoid contamination of groundwater, but there needs to be some kind of reward, even in terms of tendering for work. The tenders that include those kinds of solutions need to be rewarded over those who don't, and that will drive innovation, and that will drive change, and that will align everybody's incentives in a positive way.
Angelica Krystle, good to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.